Dawn breaks over the Alabama River. Mist drifts across cypress trees, and the soft rush of water whispers of a time long past. Once these forests thundered with wings, howls, and the crackle of unseen life. Parrots painted the skies with emerald and gold. Wolves sang to the moon. Elk thundered through meadows of dew. But the voices have faded. The echoes linger only in stories, bones, and memory. This is Alabama, a land of deep roots and deeper silence. A place where life once bloomed in every shade of wildness. And this is the story of those who are gone. The creatures that shaped this land and the silence they left behind. Before roads carved through its hills and cities rose from its valleys, Alabama was a kingdom of wild abundance. Rivers like the Tombigbee and the Tennessee flowed through forests older than memory. Cypress knees broke the surface of blackwater swamps, and the air shimmered with dragonflies and birdsong. The longleaf pine forests stretched endlessly, home to creatures seen nowhere else on Earth. Deer moved like shadows between the trees, while wolves hunted in disciplined silence. Elk grazed across the open plains, and great flocks of parakeets painted the skies in green and gold. Beneath the soil and water, unseen worlds thrived. Mussels, cavefish, and amphibians that kept the rivers alive. But then came the axes, the railroads, the farms, and the endless march of progress. Forests fell, rivers choked, and the songs of countless creatures faded into silence. Yet in that silence, their stories remained, waiting to be remembered. The Carolina Parakeet. Imagine standing along the Alabama River 2 centuries ago. The sky suddenly bursts into color. Flashes of green, yellow, and orange sweep overhead. The air fills with shrill cries and the flutter of countless wings. This was the Carolina Parakeet, the only native parrot of North America, once abundant across Alabama's swamps and river valleys. They were curious, social, and loyal. So loyal that when hunters shot one from the sky, the others circled back in distress, only to fall beside their fallen kin. People called them pests because they fed on crops, never realizing they were gardeners of the wild. Spreading seeds, renewing forests. But beauty became their curse. Their feathers were prized for hats, their homes destroyed for farmland. By 1918, the last known Carolina parakeet died in a cage, far from the sunlight and cypress trees it once called home. Alabama's skies have never looked the same since. The Eastern Elk, long before settlers arrived, the call of the elk echoed across Alabama's misty valleys. Towering and powerful, the Eastern Elk roamed the open grasslands and river meadows in herds hundreds strong. Native tribes respected them as symbols of strength and endurance. Creatures that gave food, hides, and tools, yet asked for balance in return. But the balance broke when rifles replaced bows. The forest thinned, the plains shrank, and the elk became targets of profit and survival. By the 1870s, the Eastern Elk was gone from Alabama, hunted to the last echo of its call. Its bones rest beneath fields that once trembled under its hooves. Today, its western cousins roam the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina, descendants of a species reborn, though not the same. And still, the land remembers. In the whisper of wind through grass, you can almost hear their bugle once more. The Red Wolf. When night once fell over Alabama's wilderness, a haunting sound echoed through the pines, the call of the red wolf. Smaller than its northern cousin, yet fierce and intelligent, the red wolf was the quiet guardian of the southern forests. It hunted deer, kept rodent numbers in check, and lived in tightly bonded family packs that mirrored the human spirit of loyalty. But as farms spread and livestock filled the fields, fear replaced respect. Hunters and government trappers targeted the wolf until its howls faded one by one. By the 1970s, the red wolf was gone from Alabama's wilds. Coyotes moved in, taking the place of a vanished king. A few survive today in the coastal plains of North Carolina, a fragile legacy of what once ruled here. Their song, once a nightly chorus in Alabama's woods, now echoes only in recordings and memory. The forest still waits for its voice to return. The Ivory-Billed Woodpecker. Deep within Alabama's cypress swamps once lived a legend, the Ivory-Billed Woodpecker. Towering nearly 2 feet tall with wings that flashed black, white, and crimson, it was the largest woodpecker in North America. Locals called it the Lord God bird, because that's what people would whisper when they saw it. It thrived in the old-growth forests, chiseling through decaying trees with its powerful beak, creating life for countless insects and smaller birds. But the same forest that sheltered it soon fell to saws and progress. Timber mills consumed the cypress swamps, and the ivory-billed vanished with them. The last confirmed sighting in Alabama came in the mid-40s. Yet stories still drift through the bayous, whispers of a flash of white wings deep in the mist. Whether truth or hope, it remains one of nature's great ghosts, a reminder that silence can sometimes sound like denial. The Alabama cavefish. Beneath the rolling hills of northern Alabama, where sunlight has never touched, there is a world of shadows and stillness. In the pitch-black waters of Key Cave once swam one of Earth's rarest creatures, the Alabama cavefish. Barely 2 inches long, pale as marble, and completely blind, it survived by touch and instinct in a world of eternal night. For thousands of years it lived undisturbed, hidden in the dark, feeding on drifting insects and organic dust carried by underground streams. But human progress reached even there. Farming, pollution, and falling groundwater slowly poisoned its fragile world. Only a handful have ever been seen by scientists. Some fear it's already gone, another life form erased before most even knew it existed. In the silence of the cave, the water still flows, but perhaps no heart beats within it anymore. The southern hognose snake. In Alabama's sandy pine forests once lived a small, curious creature, the southern hognose snake. Barely 2 feet long, with a turned-up nose like a tiny shovel, it spent its days burrowing through loose soil, hunting toads, and basking in the warm southern sun. Despite its harmless nature, people feared it, mistaking its defensive hiss and flattened neck for something deadly. When confronted, this gentle snake would roll onto its back and play dead, mouth open, tongue limp, as if saying, "Please, I mean no harm." But fear is a stronger weapon than venom. Habitat loss, farming, and persecution drove it from Alabama's fields. By the mid-1900s, it was gone, another innocent victim of misunderstanding. Today, its sandy burrows lie empty, and the forests that once shimmered with life grow a little quieter. The American beaver. Before the traps and trade routes, Alabama's rivers flowed at the rhythm of one remarkable engineer, the American beaver. With teeth as strong as iron and patience as deep as the streams they shaped, beavers built entire ecosystems. Their dams slowed floods, created wetlands, and turned lifeless streams into thriving habitats. But by the 1800s, greed stripped the rivers bare. Fur traders hunted them to the brink, their pelts sold in distant cities. The splash of a tail became a memory, the creak of their lodges swallowed by silence. Yet unlike many of Alabama's lost creatures, the beaver's story didn't end there. In the 20th century, conservationists reintroduced them. Slowly, quietly, they returned, reshaping waters once more. Among the ruins of extinction, the beaver reminds us that nature, when given time, can still find its way home. The lost mussels. Alabama's rivers are ancient, older than the Appalachians themselves. Beneath their surface once lived small, unseen heroes, freshwater mussels. They didn't roar or fly or hunt, but they kept the rivers alive, filtering the water, feeding the fish, and anchoring the flow of life that sustained above all else. There were hundreds of species, each one shaped by its own stretch of current. Names like Alabama pigtoe, sugar spoon, and southern combshell may sound whimsical now, but they were once living jewels of the state's waterways. Then came the dams, the mines, the factories. Sediment buried their beds, chemicals poisoned their breath. Within a century, dozens of species vanished forever, leaving behind only empty shells and scientific names on museum shelves. Their disappearance didn't make a sound, but the rivers have been quieter ever since. The Eastern Cougar. Once, in the dense shadows of Alabama's Appalachian foothills, there moved a creature so silent that the forest itself seemed to hold its breath. The Eastern Cougar. Sleek, strong, and golden brown, it was the ghost of the woods, a hunter that shaped the balance of life for centuries. Deer feared it. The night honored it. But when settlers arrived, the cougar became a target. Feared as a threat, hunted for sport, and trapped for bounty, it was pushed farther and farther into the mountains until it disappeared entirely. By the late 1800s, the last cougar tracks faded from Alabama's soil. In 2011, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service declared the eastern cougar officially extinct. Yet even now, rumors persist. Fleeting paw prints in the mud, shadows in the distance. Perhaps the land still remembers its guardian. And sometimes, memory is stronger than extinction. Not every story ends in silence. Across Alabama, whispers of recovery stir the air once more. The American beaver builds again, its dams breathing new life into forgotten wetlands. Birds long gone from these skies return with the changing seasons, and protected forests rise where clear-cut fields once lay bare. Scientists and volunteers now walk the rivers and forests, fighting to save what remains. The red-cockaded woodpecker, the gopher tortoise, the mussels that still cling to hope. Their work is quiet, patient, and full of faith. Nature may not forget what it's lost, but it remembers how to heal. Every sprouting pine, every ripple in the stream is a small defiance against extinction, proof that Alabama's wild heart still beats, if only faintly, beneath the scars of time. This was Lost Creatures of Alabama. Next time, Lost Creatures of Alaska.